Hey everybody, Josh here, aka Sorcerer's Hat, and we've got a bunch more cards to look at today from Winterspell. I also have gone through and just handpicked these cards because they're either interesting or really good or sort of inspire some discussion, except for maybe one of them I think is just like a good example of sometimes a card is just good on paper. Yeah, we're going to go through these and then I'll give you my rating. And if there are any cards that I miss and that you want me to review, please let me know in the comments below. Next week, I won't be doing any reviews. I'm going to actually be doing like the, traditional top 10 cards that you should probably buy from Winterspell video. So look forward to that. And first up, we've got a pretty good card. This is Sven, Leaping Reindeer. He's an uninkable 4-cost Amethyst character card with 2 strength, 3 willpower, and he quests for 1. He has Rush, Challenger 3, and Evasive. This is pretty awesome. It will be really awesome in the mirror for like a Blurple mirror, right? Because it can take out an Elsa, it can take out a Genie. It has Rush. Its biggest problem is that it's uninkable, and what are you taking out of Blurple to put this in is a little unclear, but despite that, I think this card is like really, really good. It's just like basically more copies of Elsa the Fifth Spirit, but it has Challenger 3, so it means it can actually take out more things. Its biggest issue is obviously its uninkability, but also it only has 3 willpower or 3 health. So anything it takes out, like if it takes out a Genie or an Elsa, you're gonna feel really good about it. But if it's trying to take out anything else that has evasive and has 5, then it's gonna have a few issues. It also can't take out the 9-cost Prince Philip. I can't remember what the subtitle is at this point, but it can't take that out because that character is a 6/6. And this only gets up to a 5/3 when challenging, so that is a little bit of a downside for it as well. But all in all, I think this is a super solid card, and if you get this in draft or sealed, you're probably feeling pretty great because this is just going to take out almost whatever you want. It's pretty great in that aspect. So cool card. I think it could possibly see some play depending on like what the meta decks look like next set. Next up, we've got another legendary. This is Todd, Knows All the Tricks. He is an inkable 7-cost emerald character card with 6 strength, 6 willpower, and he quests for 2. He can shift for 5. He has evasive and 1 ability, Impressive Leaps. Twice during your turn, whenever this character is chosen for an action or an item's ability, you may ready him. So obviously right off the bat, he can only do this twice. So that is a little bit of, like that does limit it, but if you are able to quest with this, play like improvise on him or something, a 1-cost thing, then you can ready him, quest again, play another improvise, or play like a song that does something and target him and buff him up or do whatever you want. I think this is honestly a really solid card. It kind of reminds me of the Baloo that came out in Whispers of the Well that some people were messing around with in Amber Emerald for a little bit, where you could like ready it and quest for 3 a bunch of times. But this is a little more like, I would say this is probably easier to do, and probably, I don't know if it'll see like a ton of play, but in draft this is probably really great. It's also evasive, so there is that. I don't know if I've seen the lower cost Todd to really make an evaluation on this, but this card also does have an enchanted, so it's cool. We'll see. I feel like it's perfectly playable, but it almost feels like a little bit of a like I'm building my deck around this. Like this is a very action heavy Emerald deck. Which I don't suspect that Emerald is going to be really doing next set. Like I expect Emerald and Amethyst to be more, just based on the things I've been looking around at, like more boost character focused. So I don't really see this fitting in there. This could fit in like some kind of green steel thing where you're singing songs or activating abilities or something, possibly. Or again, just Amber Emerald, because they have a lot of really great actions and some other things that they can do. So all in all, I think this is a pretty good card. I don't know if it'll immediately be meta relevant. It might find a place in some kind of action heavy deck, or a deck where, you know, you can use characters' abilities and stuff a lot. I do think that his ability is a little slow, because you need to play this on either turn 5 or turn 7 or something. He has to stick in a meta that's probably going to be full of, you know, we've got Let It Go coming back, so we've got more hard removal. We've still got Hades. We've got other ways of dealing with characters. So this might be a hard justification, but when it pops off, you're probably going to feel pretty good about it. Next up is a really cool card I'm pretty excited about. This is Grab Your Bow. It's an uninkable 5-cost Ruby action song. So this is a lyric from Grab Your Swords, or Grab Your Sword, I'm sorry. It's not actually Grab Your Swords, it's Grab Your Sword. Anyway, this is another lyric from that song. It says, banish up to 2 chosen characters with 2 strength or less. I think this is a pretty good card. Like if you're playing a Ruby Amethyst and your opponent's on Blurple and they play Genie, and then they play, you know, Elsa, and then you play like Headless Horseman or something and delete their Genie, and then the next turn you, like maybe they play another Genie or something, and then you sing this with the Headless Horseman, like you kind of just win. You kind of just beat them like right then and there, right? The only issue with this is that 2 strength or less does sort of mean that the targets for this are not as great as it might seem, although this is also going to be really, really good into aggro, which looks like it's going to be just really annoying next set and really prevalent. So if you're playing Ruby Amethyst, I think there's a chance you play this card. Actually, I think if you're playing Ruby at all, which I think still Ruby is still not quite there, but could prove me wrong. I would love to be proved wrong, because I am like an original Ruby Amethyst person. Either way, I think this is a good card and is pretty good for, like, I would say most matchups. There will be some matchups where this isn't that great, but and then the unink ability really hurts it. But I think if you're able to just take out 2 characters with this, you're gonna feel really good. Taking out 1 probably won't feel as good, because then you'll just be doing a straight 1-for-1, and you could have played like Brawl, right? Well, not in Core Constructed, but in Infinity you could have played Brawl. So there are some downsides, but I do think this is a pretty cool card. Next up is, I would say, kind of controversial card. Maybe not controversial, but this is Wreck-It Ralph, Raging Wrecker. He's an uninkable 7-cost Ruby character card with 3 strength, 4 willpower, and he quests for 3. He has boost 1 and 2 abilities. His first one is Powered Up. This character gets +1 strength for each card under him. And Who's Coming With Me? When this character is banished, banish all characters with strength equal to or less than the strength he had in play. You know, when I first saw this card, like way back when, I was like, wow, this sucks. I really hate this card. Now I'm not as... I'll say this. I still don't like it, but I do think that it has gotten better as we've seen more of the set, and we see that there are, you know, ways to cheat boost characters. Like, we don't actually have to pay. I think the getting +1 strength is kind of nice. His stats aren't that great, but the 3 strength is pretty good. I just think this card is like, you got to build around it. And then even then, like, you're just not, like, you're doing so much work when, like, man, we could have just, you know, especially in Infinity, we just played Be Prepared. Like, you don't need to play this, just play Be Prepared. That is where I struggle with this a little bit. But I don't really like it. If somebody in the comments likes it and has some way of making this work, you can let me know. But I don't like this card really at all. And I'm sure I'll be proven wrong in some way. Someone will make some crazy combo to make it good. But to me, I don't buy it. I'm not sold. But it's very interesting, which is kind of why I wanted to bring it up. But it's interesting in like a bad way, I feel like, or at least it just doesn't seem that good. Next up, we have Nani, Stage Manager. She is an inkable 3-cost amber character card with 3 strength, 3 willpower. She quests for 1. She has 1 ability. That's your cue. When you play this character, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a character card with cost 2 or less. Put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So this is essentially an aerial for all you Steel Song people, but for characters instead of songs, except they have to be cost 2 or less. But honestly, in Amber, that's not really that big a deal, especially in Amber Steel, because honestly, the highest character cost you're playing in that deck is like 4, if that. Most of the time it's 3. And most of the characters you're playing in your deck are 1 or 2 cost anyway, because you are just trying to flood the board as fast as possible. And this sort of just gives you a little more ability to find something so that you have something to follow this up next turn. Yes, she doesn't quest for a lot, but she's more of like a support character for that archetype, which honestly, all signs point to Amber Steel aggro coming back, like at least in the first month, and being just insufferable as ever. So I think this is a really good card and could actually see a lot of play for an uncommon, so look out for it. Next up is not that exciting, but for a vanilla, this is actually a really good card. This is Mickey Mouse, Tiny Tim's father. He is an inkable 6-cost Sapphire character card with 6 strength, 7 willpower, and he quests for 2. He has no abilities because he's a vanilla. The thing about this card, though, is A, it's a Mickey. B, it's a hero. C, the stats are really good, and he quests for 2. Like, it's just solid. It's a solid card. Whether or not you actually put this somewhere and it sees a lot of play really remains to be seen. But the fact is that, like, in draft, this will be the most annoying thing for your opponent, unless they drafted like some kind of removal, like Let It Go or something. They're gonna hate seeing this on the other side of the board. So I don't know if this really sees a ton of play necessarily, unless you pair this with another card that we're gonna talk about a little later, which is Tiny Tim's Crutch or something. Then suddenly this card actually becomes like kind of insidious and strong if you're able to stick it. But yeah, it's just a really solid playable card. We'll see. Next up, we've got Pocahontas Finding the Way. She's an inkable 3-cost amber character card with 2 strength, 5 willpower, and she quests for 1. She has 1 ability, Discovery Awaits. When you play this character, your chosen character gets +1 lore this turn. So this obviously just goes in like Amber Steel aggro. It's kind of like, I'm forgetting her name, but it's the woman from Lady and the Tramp. Not Jim Deere, but the woman. But she was like a 5-cost, and she would give a character +1 lore. She was pretty good and kind of sneaky. She didn't really see a ton of constructed play, but in draft she was really good. This being a lower cost, I think, helps it out a lot. And she's a princess, which means that you could, in theory, cheat this out with Aurora on turn 2, but you don't want to. That's you're not going to get anything out of it if you do that. She is a 2/5 though, which means that she'll probably stick around a little bit, just because that 5 health is a little more to remove. But the thing is, after you play her, she doesn't really do anything. So that's maybe the downside. I think the best thing you could do is like turn 3, if you have a Daisy and a Nala, you play this and suddenly you quest for 6, and on turn 3, which is pretty strong. That's like a third of your win condition right there, basically. So I think she will see some play. That princess tag is not to be slept on, especially. We know with Aurora, like, princesses are just really, really good, and they synergize together pretty well by happenstance. So I think this could be a really good card, but we shall see. Next is Slushy Glacial Guster. He's an uninkable 4-cost ruby character card with 5 strength, 5 willpower. He quests for 1, and he has evasive. I think this card is perfectly okay. I bring it up because in draft it will be amazing, but in core constructed play, I struggle to see where this is gonna even see play. Ruby already just has a lot of uninkables that it's trying to juggle, and the uninkables it does have are just frankly better than this. That being said, if you're playing like Amber Ruby or something like that, this card could be pretty good because it can take out a lot of evasive threats and survive itself. And if you have Amber Ruby, you know, you can heal it and get some benefit from that. The problem is that it doesn't really have like rush or anything, so you're going to play it and then it's going to sit there and you just hope it doesn't get deleted or something. But I think all in all, it's perfectly playable. It might be a little niche, but in draft, I think you definitely want a card like this for sure. Next up, we've got Talk of the Town. This is Pudge, controls the weather. He's an inkable 2-cost Amber character card with 1 strength, 3 willpower, and he quests for 1. He has 1 ability, Good Friend. If you have a character named Lilo in play, you can play this character for free. We know in Infinity that there are 1-cost Lilos, so in theory you could play, you know, the 1-cost, I think it was like a 1-cost 1/1 that quests for 2. And then you could play this for free on turn 1. So on turn 1, you've already played 2 characters. That in and of itself is really strong. And then we have Surfer Lilo, our Escape Artist. And you can play her on turn 2. And then immediately play this for free, which is pretty great. If you're not playing Lilo in your deck, this card's like not amazing. But most aggro decks are probably playing a Lilo, so this card in your opening hand with a Lilo is going to feel really good. The only problem with this is you're going to top deck it when you don't have a Lilo, and playing a 2-cost character that's a 1/3 that quests for 1 and does nothing probably will not feel very good. However, I think in the right circumstance, if you're playing the right aggro deck, like especially if you're going into this kind of Amber Emerald kind of like, I think there's like an Amber Emerald Lilo and Stitch kind of aggro deck that you could build. Like, especially in Infinity, I think this card is like, you totally should have it. In Amber Steel aggro, it could work if you're playing the Lilo, but not all of them are. I think the Lilo could come back though, but with stuff like a lot of more effects that put things into the inkwell, or shuffle characters to the bottom of, or put characters to the bottom of your opponent's deck or something. I think there's a chance that Lilo doesn't get played, and if Lilo doesn't get played, this for sure does not get played. So I think it's good, perfectly playable, but you know, with an asterisk, right? Like you really have to make kind of a Lilo and Stitch deck to make it work, or you need to have a few Lilos, like not just the Escape Artist one. You probably want some other kind of one to really benefit from this, and then on top of that, you're probably going to need some kind of card draw to go with it. But I think overall it's a pretty cool card. It's interesting and will be a little annoying. I think it's a little stronger in Infinity than it is in Core Constructed, but we'll just have to wait and see. Next is Alice Well-Read Whisper. Jeez. She's an inkable 4-cost Amethyst character card with 4 strength, 4 willpower, and she quests for 1. She has boost 2 and 1 ability, Mystical Insight. Whenever this character quests, put all cards from under her into your hand. On the surface level, it seems like a lot to play her and then the next turn have to boost and then quest to get the cards, but Amethyst Emerald has a lot of cards where you play them and you can put a card under another character with boost. I am forgetting the exact ones. There is actually one coming up that does that, but there is another one that came out in Whispers in the Well that does the same thing. It's like it's a duck lady. I can't remember her name. I feel so bad I can't remember her name, but it's like a card that did not see any play, but suddenly now with seemingly like Amethyst Emerald boost might be a deck, she actually could see some play. So that's pretty cool. So in theory, you could Turn 5, play one of those, put a card under Alice, then boost, and then quest with Alice, and it's like you drew like 2 cards and played a character, which is not terrible. And it means that when she is banished, you're not losing the cards under her. You get to have them, which is really nice. So I think this card's pretty good in draft. I struggle a little bit to see if it'll be good, but honestly, drawing cards is really good in draft. Like, it's almost even better than it is in constructed. Honestly, like, whoever can draw the most cards in draft kind of wins the game on a lot of instances. So this could be really good in draft. I think it remains to be seen, but I think if the Amethyst Emerald like boost deck ends up being pretty good, I think this card could be pretty good. Next is a card that we mentioned earlier. This is Tiny Tim's Crutch. This is an inkable 1-cost Sapphire item that has 1 ability at your side. Exert this. Chosen character gains support this turn. This is basically Scepter of Arendelle from set 1, I believe, but just on a different item. So on one sense, it's just another different 1-cost item that you could put in item decks that does something good. In draft, I think an item like this is a little bit of a sleeper. You play this and your opponent kind of forgets that it exists, and then suddenly you can make some amazing trades. I think in a Blurple deck, this could be really good because you can basically give any of your earlier characters support, like a Genie. Like, let's say you play this turn 1, ramp turn 2, turn 3 you play Genie, turn 4 you're going to play Elsa. You can exert this to give Genie support, play Elsa, quest with Genie. Elsa has 4 attack now, and then she can ram into something. And that seems like I could have just done that with Basil, but the difference is that you don't have a character on board who potentially, there are more answers for characters, especially with things like Malicious, Mean, and Scary going around, and just other ways to do damage. And now we have Grab Your Bow, which we talked about earlier. So Basil is just like a little more vulnerable. And honestly, this is the same cost as Basil, and it's inkable, and there's a lot less item destruction. Maybe there will be more in the future, but right now there's not really a lot of item destruction going on in the meta. So I could see this being a good replacement. For Basil, I think a lot of people would still probably run Basil and want to run Basil instead, because you don't need an extra character. Because if you play this on turn 1 and then you play Sail and then you don't have a character to back it up, you feel a little bad, and then it can lead to some different and kind of difficult lines. So I could see the argument between this and Basil like actually being like a valid argument for playstyle and stuff, but I do think that this is still pretty good and could actually catch some people off guard. Next up, we have Maui at Home. This is Maui Snow Slider. He's an uninkable 4-cost Ruby character card with 4 strength, 3 willpower, and he quests for 2. He has just Rush. So this is like a very much worse version of Maui Hero to All, but let's be honest, Maui Hero to All is like one of the best cards in the entire game. So they weren't going to just reprint Maui Hero to All. That being said, I think this card's actually pretty decent. I think the 3 health is probably the worst thing about it. You could use this to take out, some kind of aggro threat, and it's probably going to live. And maybe it'll live. If it doesn't live, whatever. But if it does live, it can quest for 2. But if you're playing this against aggro, you're probably going to want to swing again, because unless they, stop questing. So, I want it to be good. I think this struggles a little bit. I think the uninkability really hurts it. I think the stats really hurt it. In draft, again, it'll be great because it's a rush character and it quests for 2. So right off the bat in draft, it's probably pretty great. But in core constructed, I don't see like Ruby Amethyst or anyone like dropping something for this. I just don't really see it happening. Next up is kind of an interesting one. This is Witches of Morva, Ordu, Orwin, and Orgoch. They are an inkable, they are an uninkable 5-cost amethyst character card with 4 strength, 4 willpower, and they quest for 2. They have 1 ability, quite a bargain. When you play this character, which is funny because it's like 3 characters. When you play this character, you may return another chosen character of yours to your hand. If you do, gain 1 lore. Now, you only get to do it the 1 time, but it's actually kind of cool. Like, we're getting some self-bounce stuff again. So you could, in theory, like, use this in a kind of tempo deck where you quest with something that quests for 2, and then you use this to bounce it back, get an additional lore. And if it's, you know, you can replay that card later, and then if this survives, you can quest for 2 with it. It's a 4/4, so it's not terrible. I think the worst thing about it is that it's uninkable. But I think there's a place for this, you know, in the meta, in a very specific type of deck. I think it's definitely like an Amethyst Emerald sort of situation, just because the Emerald cards have lots of like lore, and they have a lot of low cost characters with a lot of lore. So I could see that working there. I could see it working in like Amber Emerald as well, because Amber Amethyst as well, because they have the same thing, low cost characters with high lore that sometimes you don't want to quest with because your opponent's kind of locked you down. This lets you quest with them, get them back, replay them, that kind of thing. So I actually like this card. I think it could be pretty good. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. I do think the uninkability hurts it quite a bit though. Next is Wisdom of the Willow. This is an uninkable 4-cost Amber action that reads, for the rest of this turn, whenever one of your characters quests, you may draw a card. It's crazy that this is an uncommon. I think this pretty much only goes in like an Amber Steel aggro deck, but it gives them card draw, which is frightening, because you could do this. You could play, you know, Daisy on 1 or Aurora on 1, but let's do Daisy. Say Daisy on 1. Turn 2, you play Nala. So you've got 5 lore on the board. Turn 3, you play Tiana. That's 7 lore on the board. Turn 4, you quest for 7. You play this, quest for 7, and draw 3 cards, right? That's kind of nuts. Or instead of playing Tiana, you play Lady. Put out 2 characters, and then on turn 4 you play this, quest with 4 characters for like 5 to 7 lore and draw 4 cards, and you're immediately like reload. Like, even if they wipe your board, you're like, whatever, you just reload those characters out. This card scares me, man. The uninkability does hurt it. Like, it's gonna clog up some people's hands for sure, and it's not gonna be like, you're not gonna do that high roll thing every time. But man, this card kind of scares me. I think it's pretty good. Next up, we've got Next up, we've got Copper, Champion of the Forest. He's an inkable 5-cost Emerald character card with 3 strength, 5 willpower, and he quests for 2. He has Shift 3, which is not terrible. And then his first ability is More to Explore. Whenever this character quests, your characters with evasive get +1 lore this turn. I'm trying to think of, like, would you want to play this on turn 3, or would you want to shift this on turn 3? Because let's say I don't remember if it's a 1-cost or a 2-cost Copper. I really can't remember, but let's say one of the 1 or 2 costs is Copper, and then the other character you play is something with evasive. You're shifting this, you're questing for 2, and then probably that evasive character only has 1 lore, and you're giving them another lore. So you get 4. And that's it. And then maybe your opponent can clap back. Maybe. Who knows? I think it's okay. I think later on as the game goes on, like, there is a world where if you're playing some kind of like tempo-y deck with a lot of evasive, so again, Amethyst Emerald, you shift this later in the game when you have a lot of characters, then suddenly it is a lot better. Like, it can be like a closer. But I think you don't really want to shift this on turn 3, so I don't know if you like run 4 of these, but it is inkable, so you can always just ditch it if you don't need it at that exact moment. So I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I think there is a world in which there is a deck where this goes, and it's pretty good. But, you know, we'll have to wait and see. Next up is a card that I'm so excited exists. This is Raging Storm. It is an uninkable 8-cost amber action card that just says banish all characters. And it also has a beautiful looking enchanted. I'm so happy that we have a board wipe again, like just a straight up board wipe in the game. I have missed B-Prep so much. It's crazy. The crazy thing about this is I was not expecting a board wipe to be an amber of all things. Now, does Amber Steel aggro play this? Absolutely not, because there's no way they're getting to 8 ink. And they want their characters on the board. They need their characters on the board, right? So they're not going to be playing this. I think there's a world in which a Amber Ruby deck could play this, but again, 8 ink is a lot for Amber Ruby, which, you know, doesn't have a clear identity right now. I would say pre-rotation, it was a Mufasa deck that was really fun. I played it for like half a set and had a great time, and then went, okay, I have to play something real now, because discard happened and it was just horrible into discard. But I'm really happy this card exists. The strange thing is that I bet it goes best in an Amber Sapphire deck, which up until this point, for the last 2.5 years of Lorcana's life, has not really been a viable deck. It's looking like it might be a viable deck now with this, and just with all of the extra removal that's coming out. I think there's a chance that this is it. Like, we finally get like an Amber Sapphire deck that's good. And this is part of it, right? So I'm really excited that this card exists, and I'm excited to see if it actually means that a color combination that up until this point has not been good basically at all finally gets its time to shine in the sun. So very exciting. And also this has like such a cool looking enchanted. I feel like the enchanteds this set looks so good. Every time I see them, I'm like, man, I'm about to be bankrupt because they look so good. Next up is a card that I sort of alluded to earlier when we were talking about boost characters, but this is Minnie Mouse, Mrs. Cratchit. Once again, you all know I love, if you saw the last week's video, I freaking love Christmas Carol, just in general, one of my favorite books. She is an inkable 5-cost emerald character card with 3 strength, 4 willpower, and she quests for 2. She has Ward and 1 ability, A Mother's Love. When you play this character, you may put the top card of your deck face down under one of your characters or locations with boost. If you do, draw a card. Whew. This card's so good on so many levels. Okay, 5 is a little bit much, right? But you've probably played a bunch of characters that have, you know, the boost mechanic in this kind of deck. You've probably played a bunch of characters that have the boost mechanic already, right? So you play this, you put a card under them, then you get to draw a card. So automatically Minnie is helping you sort of go with your game plan, and then replacing herself. That Alice we talked about earlier, if you pair this with Alice, right? You play Alice on 4. She survives. On turn 5, you play Minnie Mouse, boost Alice, put the card under her, draw a card. Then you quest with Alice and get that card that you put under her back. So you drew 2 cards. It's awesome. I think this card's super awesome and potentially really good in a very specific type of deck. I'm actually really excited to try this out. Like, I think Amethyst Emerald is going to be one of the first decks that I actually test out, and might actually be like a next week situation. Like, I might have to get the proxies ready to do some testing because I am getting more excited about this. Next up, we have Mickey Mouse Bob Cratchit. He's an inkable 2-cost Sapphire character card with 3 strength, 2 willpower, and he quests for 1. He has 2 abilities. His first one is Hard Work. Whenever this character quests, put the top card of your deck face down under him. Cool. Second ability, A Giving Heart. When this character is banished in a challenge, you may put all cards that were under him under another chosen character or location of yours. So I think that this is kind of a little too big-brained for me, but I think it does have potential to be really good and lead to some like really interesting shenanigans. Like there could be a kind of Emerald Sapphire kind of boost deck where you're like moving things around, because there are a bunch of cards last week that we talked about that deal with cards under them, and that's like a Sapphire thing. And then Emerald has a lot of cards where it's like put a card under a character, because you can, you know, sort of ignore their like boost costs and just put a character on, or put a card from the deck or something under a character. I think there is a lot of shenanigans you can do with this card. Whether or not people figure out what that is and if it's even worth it, kind of remains to be seen. But I think Sapphire having not just straight up like a, you know, boost effect, but being more like supportive of boost effects, I think is a little interesting. And I think this card might see some like really big brain deck. Whether or not it's meta though, well, it remains to be seen. Next up is a really, I think, a pretty interesting card. And actually pretty good. We'll talk about it. This is Angela, Night Warrior. Those of you that watched the last video know that I'm almost done with Gargoyles and really been loving the show. So I love that there's more Gargoyle cards. Angela is an inkable 3-cost steel character card with 2 strength, 3 willpower, and she quests for 1. She has 2 abilities. Her first one is Shadow Power. When you play this character, you may give a chosen character Challenger 2 and Resist 2 until the start of your next turn. It's pretty good. Second ability, Eternal Night. Your Gargoyle characters lose the Stone by Day ability. So this is, as someone who played like 2 months straight of Amethyst Steel, this is a really great Amethyst Steel card, especially when paired with stuff like, I'm suddenly forgetting his name. Not Brooklyn. I'm forgetting. The little one, the little gargoyle. He has a 4/4. I can't believe I'm forgetting the name right now after watching almost all this show. I'm really bad at names, you guys. You compare it with that. This is basically kind of like that Jafar that would give Challenger 2, but it doesn't quest for 2. I think having your Gargoyle characters lose the Stone by Day ability can be really strong, especially in Amethyst Steel, because they run not only Demona, but they run Lexington. That's his name. I got there. They run Lexington sometimes, and then you can run this, and she is a Gargoyle, but she doesn't have Stone by Day. So, yeah, I think it's a cool card. I think it is pretty much meant for Amethyst Steel, though. Like, that's kind of it. And it's only really meant for Amethyst Steel if you were playing the other Gargoyles, which you probably are, let's be honest. So, I think her weakest trait is that she only quests for 1. I think that hurts a bit. But I think overall, if you were leaning into a very specific build of Amethyst Steel, I think this card could pay you dividends in certain aspects. Okay, last one is a pretty cool card that also has a really nice looking enchanted. This is Lilo Rockstar, which, man, I actually kind of wish that they had tried to make this pair with the Stitch Rockstar, but honestly, Ravensburger, if you want free money, you should print some sort of pack where there's a promo set where we get the tied together borders of Stitch and Lilo Rockstar. Just saying, that's like free money. So this is Lilo Rockstar. She's an inkable 6-cost character card with 3 strength, 5 willpower. She quests for 2, she shifts for 4, and she has 1 ability. I'll count you in. Whenever this character quests, you may play a character with cost 2 or less from your discard for free. Hoo-wee. Yeah, I could see this card being pretty strong. You kind of want to shift it, because if you're playing this in aggro, you're probably not getting to 6 ink, and 4 ink is probably where you're going to cap out most of the time. I could see it being maybe like a 2 of in an aggro deck, but it's really going to depend. I think she's much, much better on the shift. If you play her on 6, she doesn't do anything. She is like immune to Horsemen and Grab Your Bow and stuff, but she's not immune to Let It Go or Hades or, you know, the storm, the Raging Storm or anything like that. So I think it's a cool card, and I think if you play this and you end up making it work, I think you can kind of just snowball the game in a lot of instances, because you also aren't playing the character exerted. You're questing, and then that character with cost 2 or less is just coming back, and then your opponent is going to need something like an Elsa or a Let It Go or some kind of removal like Strength to get rid of it if you're about to win the game. So this could help you close out games. It could also help you win more. I think it's just kind of a cool card, and I like that they gave Lilo the rock star kind of thing, right? That's pretty cool. Anyway, that's it for all of the cards that I handpicked from this week. Again, if there is a card that you would like me to review that I did not talk about, just leave it in the comments below. I will give you my opinion right in the comments. Next week, I will be releasing my top 10 cards to buy from Winterspell. And so I need to do a little testing, and I need to kind of read like all the cards and consult. I usually consult with a lot of my locals and some players that are just way better than me, and we all kind of talk through like, yeah, that card probably will see play, or it's probably like a good thing to buy, right? So I'm going to do that, and we'll have that one ready next week. And then the week after, it'll be release, and I don't really know what kind of video I'll be doing. It might be a kind of newer player's guide or something, but we'll see. I'm really excited for Winterspell, you guys. It's only like 2 weeks away. So, yeah. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Bye. Love you.